So, I want to talk about how to stop waiting to live your life and to start living. One of my clients who I worked with described her life before, um, saying that she felt like she lost like the passion for her life. She felt like she had lost the joy of just living, that there was like an empty numbness, like there was no more fun, like her vitality felt just like extinguished in the role of like being the mom, being the provider, being the caretaker, being the one who takes care of the aging parents, right? Like just being stuck in this like no man, no woman's land where it's great that, you're kicking ass in your career. You can speak at meetings. You can lead the room. People respect you. But there's this emptiness that says, my life feels stagnant and I don't know how to change that. I don't know what's missing. I don't know what my dream is. I've never even thought about what I want because I've spent so many years doing what is necessary to make the lives of other people easier or flow. And when you get that way in your life, there's like no excitement. You feel super isolated. You feel disconnected. I've had ladies talk to me about this, shocked that when they talk about their loneliness, like tears well up. They feel like they're missing their creativity. They want to travel. They want to have life experiences, but they're waiting, and their excuses are always really, really good, by the way. Like they make perfect sense. I had a client, Nancy, and she came to me because she had this gorgeous, amazing 60-year birthday celebration. And she came to me and she was like, this is not where I thought I was going to be at 60. And she realized that number one, work was never going to love her back, that she was sinking her nights, her weekends, that her holidays were just like escapes to recover. And when she came to me, she was like, I just spent 3 weeks in Portugal. Like, I just want to chuck it all. I want to quit my job. I want to just go to Portugal. Like, I'm so over it. And what we did together was to figure out those patterns that were stealing her passion and her joy, that she wasn't setting boundaries, that she didn't know what she wanted, that she didn't have certainty or clarity about what it even would take to retire or to actually pursue some of those dreams. And so just in a short time period of working together, like we created the goals, we had the plan to figure out what does she need to retire? What does she want that next chapter to look like? How can she stop now making work her priority and start having fun, taking care of her health? I remember she was so excited. She was like, oh my God, I closed my laptop and I'm not even working on Fridays anymore, right? Like the weekends with her friends, she started walking, she got healthy. She planned a trip. And by the time we finished that first set of sessions together in 4 months, she had a retirement date. She had the plan, and she also had a plan for some part-time consulting so she could keep her income going, right? And now she's excited, right, to now implement through the transition. And so what I want you to understand is that the way to do this, right, is to start living your life is really what I call the design thinking paradigm. And design thinking is interesting because the model that we use comes from the design thinking strategies that they have developed at Stanford University. And this is like in the consulting world, this is like, the top kind of paradigm about like, how do you create products, right? And there's a process, right? And so in thinking about this and doing the journey myself, I was like, well, wait, so we're creating a product, it's our life, and we're the user of that product, right? So let's just use the same approach and design a life for us. right? But we have to know the user. So the first stage that you have to go through is what we call the empathy phase. And the empathy phase is, again, when you're designing for a product, all these consultants will go out and they'll like understand like the consumer or the user of the product. And so the first step that is important that you take is that you actually start to define who you are and who you're not, right? So letting everything sort of come through and understanding what are the old patterns, hurts, traumas, limitations, beliefs that you're carrying through. What are the rules about how you're supposed to live, what you can and you can't have. The little voice in your head that's constantly telling you what you can and can't see, what you can and can't do. It reminds me of a story, actually, it's in my book that I wrote that's coming out next year. And I was in my own reinvention, living in an RV for a year, traveling, and we were in Huffington, South Carolina, and we'd been in the Carolinas for a while, North Carolina, South Carolina, and there's alligator signs everywhere that are like, beware the alligators, beware the alligators. And I've never seen an alligator. Like, there's no alligators here. And then we went to a Walmart, and there was an alligator in the parking lot. And I was like, oh my God, even though the alligators, I couldn't see them, they show up in the most crazy spots, and people were frozen by the alligator, right? People didn't get out of their cars. People gathered around, like, you know, they got distracted from their journey to like go in and get their stuff done. And I stood there frozen for a minute, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the voice in your head, right? You don't even realize it's there. It's lurking beyond, you know, in the waterways. But when you want to do something that you care about, right, they just show up and they freeze you, that voice, right? And so part of the empathy phase, this first phase, is you have to get rid of the alligators in your head, right? So you have to release those pieces. You have to understand your journey and access the wisdom that comes from your past, right? Because your past is useful. It's not going to define your future life design, but it's super helpful, right? And then you have to do this tracking of your energy and where you're engaged and when you feel in flow in your life. And a lot of corporate and executive coaches might use this to figure out where you're in flow at work. But we do this in our empathy phase to really help you understand like what I call what blows your hair back. So when I do this with people, so many people, they track for 2 weeks, they come in, they show me, and they're like, here's the low numbers, here's where I didn't feel in flow. And they're automatically so used to coping that they tell me how they're gonna like make it better by like having a different attitude or how they can like manage that. And I'm like, that's not, for this project, we're not doing that. We're looking at like, why am I doing these things? Are they essential? Do I have to do them? Are they urgent? Is there another way to do it? What are the stories you have about that thing? And then we look at like what it is that you love, and we're like, cool. This is the key, right? Because from what you do that feels in flow, that you're really engaged when time stops. And by the way, these aren't like high adrenaline, like, you know, ski down the mountain, jump out of the plane, you know, be on vacation in Bali for a week. This is like things that you're doing that you feel engaged and you feel like time stops. It's like your gift, you being you. And then you look at it and you go, okay, well, what would it look like if I could design my life so that I had more of this and less of the other stuff, right? So that's that empathy phase, which is really, really super, super important. And from there, you know, that's when we figure out like, okay, well, when I'm in a place where it blows my hair back, what am I doing? Typically, how am I doing it, and what are my core motivations? And once you have this what, this how, and this why, you start to then look at, well, what is it that is possible, right? And the important piece in figuring out how to live, not just live a default life, but how to actually live life on your terms, and this is really important, so write this down, is we don't want you to just do like an expanded version or a little tweak of the life that you have, because that's based on your conditioning. We want for you to invent the next new product, right? The brand new thing that is something that you could never have thought of on your own. But through the process of design thinking and applying it to your life, we're able to ideate, we're able to come up with actual experiments so that you can scale down your big ideas and dreams and test them out and see if you like them, right? And once you start doing that, you are actually living your life without having to blow up the life you have. And it feels fun. It feels like you're creating something. You're engaged. You're getting feedback. You're living your life. You're in the creation and you've stopped waiting. And then you get feedback, right, on how does this inspire you. You have flexibility. You take that feeling state, you take all of these things that you're experiencing and you use that as more data and you refine it and you adjust, and suddenly you are a creator. And when you are in a creation mode in your life, that is when you feel vitality, you feel young again, you feel excited, you reverse aging, right? That's how we do it. So if you are interested in walking through that design process, right, and actually start to design your ideal life right now, like I did, like Nancy did, like so many of my other clients did, absolutely click the link in the comments, in the description, and book a call with me so I can help you design your most amazing life. Mwah.